Hello, 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 my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. If you're new around here, my name is Mel. I'm a professional astrologer and I'm the founder of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. Welcome back to all of us, because clearly I've been away for a little bit. And so I'm finally back. Things are finally getting back to normal, and we are ready to finish off the year strong. Hopefully, provided that we sort of survive September. Now, that's not meant to scare you. It's just that September has a lot of dynamic energy. I feel like I say that about every month, right? Like, I feel like every month is something going on. Well, September is no exception. All right. And so, if you haven't realized already, this is the September monthly astro forecast. All right. So, I'm going to be breaking down everything you need to know, astrologically speaking, for the month of September. So, you are fully prepared and you can take advantage of everything that is coming our way. All right. So, hello, Patricia Jean. How are you? If you guys are joining me here live, thanks so much for tuning in. Say hi on your way in, please and thank you. The algorithm loves that. And if you're watching this on the replay, I hope that you are able to get everything that you're looking for from this broadcast. And if so, definitely hit that thumbs up button, subscribe button, and that notification bell as well. All right. So I just want to jump in. Okay. So, September and the energy for September. Now, I don't know about you, but we just got out of Mercury retrograde, right? Mercury just went direct on August 28th, right? Just a couple of days ago. And, every Mercury retrograde has its own flavor. I feel like some are less chaotic than others, some are more chaotic, some are just all over the place. This particular Mercury retrograde was very heavy. I feel like the energy was very heavy. I hadn't planned on taking a couple of weeks off. Like, I'm working on a whole bunch of stuff on the back end, which I will be introducing later on in the month. But I was planning on going with everything, regularly scheduled programming. However, Spirit was like, I need you to take several seats. And there was a very good reason for that. So, hopefully, this past Mercury retrograde really got you to see and understand certain things. Whenever we have a retrograde, we are kind of not forced, but we are urged to not only go within, but to slow down. And it's in that slowing down that we're able to be intentional about things. We're able to go over things again. We're really able to examine or even re examine things. And this particular Mercury retrograde was no exception. However, now that we've entered September, you know, Mercury's not retrograde anymore. However, we've got two more planets going retrograde, one of which is a very, very big deal. All right. Not to mention, September begins eclipse season. And eclipse season is always fun times, right? There's always a lot going on. There's lots of intensity, lots of illumination. However, this particular eclipse, we have a full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces this month. It's really going to be sort of a sneak peek with respect to what we can expect going forward. Okay. So that's a whole other beast. All right. And then we have sort of the regular kind of stuff, but the intensity continues this month. So if you haven't already, buckle up because it's definitely going to be a hell of a ride. All right. So let's begin, shall we? Let us begin. Oh, did I press the wrong button? I did not. Okay. All right. So let's start off with some highlights. So this month, we start off with what I like to call breakdowns and breakthroughs. Okay. And this is Uranus going retrograde in Taurus. Now, Uranus just in Taurus, period, is like a bull in a china shop. And when Uranus goes retrograde, that erratic energy kind of slows down. However, it really allows us to be intentional about change and specifically about moving out of our comfort zone. Okay, so it's really important planetary energy. Then we have what I like to call last call, or you can also call it last dance with the devil, because we've got Pluto going retrograde into Capricorn. And this is one of the quintessential astrological events of 2024. Pluto had made its way into Aquarius, and now it's dipping back into Capricorn for a finale of sorts, where things are going to be wrapped up in a very profound and permanent kind of way. All right. And then finally, we have what I like to call sneak peek. And this is the full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces that we will be experiencing this month. All right. Now, by way of an astrology lesson, the eclipses happen at the nodes of the moon, the lunar nodes as they are called. So the north node and the south node. Currently, the north node is in Aries and the south node is in Libra. However, this particular eclipse is an outlier because it's happening in Pisces, because that is where the north node is going to be moving next. And so that's why I call it sneak peek, because it's going to show you exactly what's going to be going on for the next 18 months. All right. So those are the highlights. Let's get into the general astrology and see what we've got going on. All right. So we start off the month with Uranus going retrograde in Taurus. Thereafter, we've got Pluto going retrograde in Capricorn. Thereafter, we have, or I should say, we had the new moon of the month, which was going down in the sign of Virgo. Thereafter, Mars is making a move into Cancer. Mercury will move into its home sign of Virgo. We've got that full moon, lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces. The sun will move into Libra. Venus will move into Scorpio. And we close out the month with Mercury moving into Libra. All right. So lots going on, as you can see. So let's take it step by step and see what we've got going on. So, first and foremost, we kicked things off on September 1st, or we kicked things off on September 1st with Uranus going retrograde in Taurus. All right. And this is an interesting kind of transit. So, Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018. And so, wherever Taurus is in your natal chart is where you've been experiencing a lot of erratic energy, where you've been sort of jolted out of your comfort zone, but not in a slow and progressive way. More so, like someone is literally like kicking you in the ass out of your comfort zone. So, needless to say, this particular Uranus transit, and I mean Uranus in Taurus generally since 2018, it's been slightly uncomfortable, right? Think for a little bit. Like, how has life been for you since 2018? Look in your natal chart and see exactly what house Taurus occupies. This is where Uranus has been hanging out since 2018. And this, like I said, is where you've been experiencing erratic change. All right. And so it's really important for you to understand that Uranus the energy of Uranus requires us to relinquish control. I like to call Uranus the hand of God because it's erratic, it's chaotic, right? And if you've watched any of my other videos before, you probably have heard me say that chaos breeds creation. And so, in a sign like Taurus, in a fixed, stubborn sign like Taurus, Uranus is literally like a bull in a china shop, breaking shit, just all of this erratic energy. But the purpose of which, again, is to get you out of your comfort zone. So, since 2018, we've had this ebb and flow with Uranus, meaning that Uranus has been direct and then Uranus went retrograde, direct and then went retrograde. This is important because at the end of next year, Uranus is actually going to leave Taurus. So, this particular Uranus retrograde cycle is one of the last retrograde cycles while Uranus is in Taurus. And so, this means that you can be intentional about creating change, and you can do it sort of at the drop of a dime, right? The best thing about Uranus, and also the worst thing about Uranus, is that it embodies sudden change. So if you wake up one day and your intuition is like, go here, do this, change that, Uranus retrograde in Taurus will completely support that. Now, again, you're going to want to look at your natal chart to see exactly where Taurus, what house Taurus occupies to know what I'm talking about. And speaking of natal charts, beginning this month, I will be doing a free live workshop every 2 weeks on how to read your natal chart. So it's quick and dirty. It shows you some of the best and easiest points of your natal chart to read so that you can start to understand it and thereby understand yourself. So again, I do it every 2 weeks. It's absolutely free. Link will be in the description box below and will also be tagged to the video. All right. But anyway, back to Uranus. So Take some time to think about the area of your life that Taurus occupies and how change has been affected in that area of life. I'll give you a perfect example. For me, Taurus is my first house. It is my house of self. It's self, body, outlook, whatever. Since 2018, I've lost close to 50 pounds. So I look very different. And it kind of happened suddenly. My identity and how people view me has changed dramatically. It's during that time, at least since 2018, that I actually started Divine Feminine Works. And now people know me as Divine Feminine Works as opposed to what I used to do before. So take some time to think about it and think about what changes you would like to facilitate. What changes your intuition is sort of urging you to facilitate. Okay. Now, Uranus is going to be retrograde in Taurus until January. So this is definitely a slow burn. This is not a situation where you're going to be, it's here today, gone tomorrow. Now, the changes can happen quickly. Like I said, changes can happen at the drop of a dime. However, the energy of Uranus retrograde is going to be at our disposal until January. So take that time between now and then to change and to move out of your comfort zone. All right. So that's that. Then next up on the same day, September 1st, we had Pluto going retrograde into Capricorn. And this is a very big deal. So, one of the premier astrological events of 2024 was Pluto moving into Aquarius. Whenever Pluto changes signs, it's a huge deal because Pluto changes signs anywhere from 10 years, like every 10 years, to every 40 years. And so, Pluto going into Aquarius signified not necessarily the age of Aquarius, although a lot of people are associating Pluto going into Aquarius with the age of Aquarius. But it's clearly a new generation. It's a new era. It's a new day. It's a new information age, all of that great stuff. Now, between now and November, Pluto is going to dip back into Capricorn. It's going to retrograde into Capricorn. So, between September and November, so between now and November, things in your life or a particular area of your life is going to be wrapping up for good. Now, I also want you to take a look at your natal chart and see exactly where Capricorn is in your chart. Pluto first entered Capricorn in 2008. Okay. And so since 2008, the area of life governed by Capricorn has been experiencing profound and permanent change. Changes such as, losing a job, getting fired, moving, getting married, having kids, death, things like that. Those kind of changes have been happening in the house that Capricorn occupies in your natal chart. And so during that time, Pluto is very much the energy of the phoenix rising from the ashes. And so obviously, that assumes that something in your life had to be set on fire. Something had to burn down. Something had to be decimated in order to be reborn. And that process has been a slow burn since 2008. Maybe there's one particular issue in your life that has been highlighted with this Pluto transit since then, right? It could be that, let's say you are a Cancer rising, right? And so Capricorn is your seventh house of relationships. In 2008, you might have been as single as a dollar bill, right? And then maybe you met somebody, you got into a relationship, and you experience all of the things that come with relationships. There may have been breakups, there may have been makeups, there may have been deep seated issues that have come to the surface. There may have been fights, there may have been, celebrations, the whole nine. And now between 2008 and now, you've since gotten married and you've moved in together, right? And so if you were to look at your life now as compared to 2008, you could have been, renting an apartment someplace with a friend, living the single life, and now you're married, maybe you have kids and you live in a home of your own, right? That is a slow burn. That's not something that happens, quick, fast, and in a hurry. And so we've been going through this transformation since then. Think of it also like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. Excuse me. That's a process. It takes time. And I say all of this to say that when Pluto retrogrades back into Capricorn, it's going to be the last phase of this transformation. Understand that the orbit of Pluto is so large that Pluto will never be in Capricorn again in our lifetimes. The next time Pluto will be in Capricorn after it goes retrograde this year is 200 some odd years from now. So, whatever's wrapping up, whatever is terminating, whatever is transforming, it's transforming for good. When the caterpillar turns into the butterfly, it doesn't go back to being a caterpillar. It's a completely different species, right? Whatever doors are meant to close, they will close for good. So it is not up to you to try to pry them open or to try to get in through the window. That chapter is done. And just because something is ending doesn't mean that something else isn't beginning. And so this period, this time period, specifically between now and November, there may be a pathway that finally opens up to you after this door closes. There may be a complete transformation. Again, take a look and see where Capricorn is in your natal chart, because this is where this transformation has taken place. Okay. And so it's also going to have this feeling of being unstuck. So in the highlights, I referenced this as last call. I also said it's the last dance with the devil. Capricorn is associated with the devil in the tarot. Okay. And the devil keeps you stuck. The devil keeps you rooted. The devil keeps you chained. Okay. And so you may find that between now and November, as Pluto retrogrades back into Capricorn for the very last time, certain karmic cycles, certain things that have kept you stuck are fine. It's like the chains are being broken and you're finally going to be unstuck and you can finally move forward. So I have a feeling that we are going to feel the effects of this last Pluto retrograde into Capricorn almost viscerally, probably because Capricorn is an earth sign. And so being able to feel this and understand it and really see this transformation is going to be a thing. Okay. So my advice to you with this transit is whatever is ending, let it. It is not meant to come with you into this new chapter. Fuck a chapter. This is actually a new book that we are entering right now. Remember, I said this is a whole new age. Pluto and Aquarius, it's a whole new era. And also, don't be so resistant to the new, you know? Excuse me. Think of this like, you're caterpillar to the butterfly, right? You just broke through the chrysalis and now you've got these beautiful wings. Okay, I want to flesh this out for a second. So, the caterpillar has such a limited vantage point, right? It slithers on the ground. It can only see directly in front of it. I don't even know how caterpillars see, but you get what I'm trying to say, right? Like they're on the ground. They're really relegated to what is around them. And that may be symbolic of where you were in life. You were stuck. Okay, perfect example. Let's say you've got Capricorn as your 10th house. So that would make you an Aries rising. Now, Capricorn 10th house is very much about career, okay? And so perhaps when Pluto first entered Capricorn, you were very much of the ideology, all right, I have to go to school, I have to graduate, I got to get a job, and then I'll retire when I'm like 65, right? And you were doing this, but you were noticing that you weren't getting the results that you wanted, right? Maybe it was hard for you to find a job. Maybe once you found a job, you didn't find a job, for the major that you chose in college, right? And so perhaps you felt stuck in this cycle of, okay, I got to work to survive. I got to pay off these student loans. I got to do this. I got to do that. Meanwhile, Pluto going through Capricorn since 2008 has probably started to show you how entrepreneurship may look. It at certain times may have highlighted how you felt stuck in your particular job or maybe in your chosen career path, Maybe you encountered let's say you had a job that you really wanted to get, and then maybe you got it and then you got laid off. Or maybe you interviewed and you didn't get it, right? So many of these types of things have transpired since 2008, perhaps to transform you from an employee to an employer, or from an employee to a business owner. So perhaps in 2008, it's like, okay, you're entering the workforce. Now in 2024, maybe you have a thriving online business, or maybe you're a life coach or something completely different than what you thought you were going to do. But now you're experiencing a certain freedom and a liberation that feels more aligned to who you are. Okay. That's kind of how this particular transit may work for you. So, apart from just letting go of whatever is ending or crumbling right now, be receptive to what the universe is showing you. The universe isn't going to close doors and not open other ones. So, it's really important for you to pay attention and spend some time reflecting, particularly with the fact that Uranus is retrograde, Pluto is retrograde, Neptune is retrograde, and Saturn is retrograde. So, this is the time for us to slow down and really think about things. Okay. Reflect on them because, again, this is the last time Pluto is going to be in Capricorn. So, whatever is changing, it is changing profoundly and permanently. All right. Let's keep it moving. So, 2 days ago, on September 2nd, we had the new moon of the month, which is in the sign of Virgo, or which was in the sign of Virgo. All right. So, new moons are all about planting new seeds and setting new intentions. And in a sign like Virgo, it allowed you to really clean up, it allowed you to really create order out of chaos. Virgo like things include like work, your job, being of service. Wherever Virgo is in your natal chart is where you could have started something new, right? Something that you were perfecting. Oftentimes, when we have a new moon in Virgo, it's not necessarily about starting something brand spanking new. Oftentimes, it's about perfecting or improving something that already exists. Okay. So let's say Virgo is your sixth house of work and health. New moon in Virgo is all about perhaps getting a new job, offering a new service, or just getting more organized at work, starting a new health regimen, exercising, all of that kind of stuff, right? It's all about improvement and efficiency. So we're still in the energy of this new moon in Virgo. So if you didn't get a chance to do any new moon rituals or anything like that on what was that, Monday? Was it Monday? Yes. On Monday, you can still do them right now. The energy will be available to us until tomorrow. All right. Then we've got Mars moving into the sign of Cancer, and this is happening actually today, September 4th. Now, Mars in Cancer, it's a very interesting kind of energy because Mars is super uncomfortable in Cancer. Think of it this way. Imagine a flaming hot ball of fire and you drop it into a bucket of water. What's going to happen? The fire is going to be extinguished, right? And that's exactly what happens when Mars is in Cancer. So Mars is fiery, it's bold, it's direct. Mars represents our desires and how we go about getting them. And Mars is very direct. It's like, what is the fastest route between point A and point B? When Mars is in Cancer, you can't necessarily be that direct. You have to be a little more indirect, and you have to be indirect in a way that takes into account feelings and emotions. Mars hates that shit because Mars is just like, listen, I want this, I'm gonna go get it, and that's it. But Cancer, Mars in Cancer is like, you know what? Perfect example. You want to get a new car. You've checked your credit, you've got money for a down payment, blah, 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 blah. You're ready to go. Mars in Cancer is like, I know you want this new car, but it may not be the right time. Maybe you need to wait a week or two or three. I don't feel like it today. Something doesn't feel right. My intuition is telling me that if I go today, something may happen. it behooves you to listen to your intuition. However, Mars is like frustrated. Mars is like, oh, but I want to do it today. I want to do it now. I want this now. And Cancer's like, something doesn't feel right. Cancer is ruled by the moon, and the moon is very cyclical, right? We have the new moon, we have the full moon, we have all of these phases. Mars in Cancer means that our desires sort of have to take a back seat to the cycles of nature. And your intuition will tell you when it's the right time. It's just like trying to do a new moon ritual at the full moon. It's not the right time and it's not the right energy for that. So take a look at where Cancer is in your natal chart. This is where you have the ability to start something new because Mars is also a planet of initiation. Okay. And so Mars in any house gives you the energy and the motivation to start something new. However, understand that starting something new does not equate to instant gratification. You're going to have to listen to your intuition to figure out when is the right time to take action. Okay. Can be a little frustrating, especially if there's something that you're really desirous of or something that you really want to do, or maybe you've got all the resources and all the motivation in the world, but external circumstances just won't support taking action at this time. So it can be a little frustrating. And Mars is going to be in Cancer, I think, until mid-October. So when it comes to wherever Cancer is in your natal chart, definitely slow down, right? And pay attention to how you feel. Because even though you're passionate about something and you're really motivated, your gut may be telling you that something is off, or your gut may be telling you that, to use the example of buying a car, you want to do this now, right? However, there's going to be a sale Columbus Day weekend. You don't want to wait that long. However, Mars and Cancer is like, listen, clearly it would make sense to take advantage of the sale, so wait. Or perhaps this dealership, something feels off about this. Let me try another one. Mars in Cancer is all about slowing down and listening to your intuition. All right? Okay. Next up, we've got Mercury moving into its home sign of Virgo, and this is happening on September 9th. All right. So Mercury was just retrograde, like I said. It started off in Virgo, then retrograded back into Leo, and on September 9th, it will go back into Virgo. All right. And so Mercury is at home in Virgo. It really allows us to get our minds right and get organized. So it also has a lot to do with being of service and communicating sort of what you do, who you are, what you're about, and how you can best serve people. Mercury is, when we think about relationships, we typically think about Venus, right? Because Venus is the relationship planet. However, because Mercury covers communication, I also consider Mercury like a relationship planet. It's all about how we relate to other people, communication wise. With Mercury in Virgo, we are very much concerned with communicating how we can be of service or perhaps what services we need from other people. Okay. It's also a great time to put plans together, or even better, to analyze plans that you already have. So, one thing about me, I use astrology for almost everything. And when it comes to my personal finances, that is ruled by Mercury for me, actually. So, whenever Mercury is retrograde, I like to go over my business plans. I like to revamp things in my business, right? For some of you, this may be going over, material that you need to study. This may be going over insurance policies or other boring paperwork. Again, if you've watched enough of my videos, you've probably heard me say that Virgo energy is not necessarily sexy. It's cleaning up, it's getting organized, it's putting everything in its place, and that is very necessary in life. And so when Mercury is in Virgo, for 2 weeks, basically, it will not be in Virgo for too long. Use the energy to your advantage and get organized and get to work. I mean, it's the perfect time to do that, right? Labor Day has come and gone. Summer is over. Everyone's getting back to their regularly scheduled programming. And with Mercury in Virgo, you're definitely going to have the energy of organization at your fingertips. All right. Then We get to September 17th, which is the highlight of the month. And this is the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. So, like I said before, September ushers in eclipse season. And eclipse season can be hella erratic. It can be a lot of changes, it can be a lot of shifts, it can just be a lot of illumination. And this particular full moon lunar eclipse is no exception. So, like I mentioned before, I think the eclipses happen at the lunar nodes. Currently, the lunar nodes are at Aries and Libra. North node in Aries, south node in Libra. However, sometime in 2025, I believe, yes, sometime in 2025, they're going to shift to north node in Pisces, south node in Virgo. All right. And so we're getting a sneak peek of what that's going to be like with this particular eclipse. Now, it's a full moon lunar eclipse, so it's a full moon on steroids. If a full moon is a flashlight, a full moon lunar eclipse is a floodlight. Think of the light that they use to signal Batman, right? Like that's what a full moon lunar eclipse is. And so she said Virgo is sexy. Yes, Virgo people can be sexy, but the energy, not so much. um but yes, so this particular full moon, lots of illumination. And it's going to have the energy signature of endings and wrapping things up because Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. Pisces is also spiritual. It also represents like karma. And so things are going to come full circle. And you're going to see things come to full circle in a very profound sort of way because the full moon lunar eclipse is going to be like a neon sign telling you, all right, this thing is ending, or this stage is done, or this particular chapter is over, right? Like it's going to be very much about endings and wrapping things up. Okay. It's also going to be quite emotional. All right. Pisces is a water sign. And with the full moon already being an emotional time, it's just going to be a lot of emotion, a lot of illumination, or a grand finale or a complete culmination in a way. I'm going to do a dedicated video to it. So I'm not going to talk about it too much here. However, suffice it to say, it will be very, very illuminating. All right. Thereafter, we have the sun moving into the sign of Libra on September 22nd, and this ushers in Libra season. All right. The difference between Virgo and Libra season isn't very stark, but it is noticeable, right? Virgo sort of has their nose to the grindstone and they're really just doing work, getting organized. It's end of summer, back to work, back to school kind of energy. Once we get into Libra season, everyone has sort of settled back into work and school. And now it's more about socializing. It's more about people. It's more about getting together. It's more about all of those kind of Libra kind of things, right? Think of it if you can think back to when you were like in elementary school, let's say. And let's say you're starting a new school. First day of school, first week or two of school can be very nerve wracking because you're getting acclimated to a new school. You've got new courses, new homework after being, off for 3 months. But then by the time you get to the end of September, it's like you've made friends with the person that sits next to you. You're chatting it up. You make new friends, people who, are by your locker. You have befriended them. Like you're kind of getting settled in. And that's definitely the energy of Libra. Libra is also the relationship sign. And so relationships of all kinds will be highlighted during Libra season. Now, it's not just so much about the relationships themselves, it's more so about the give and take of relationships. Libra is all about balance. And so, are your relationships equitable? Are you like giving too much or taking too much? Libra season sort of calls our attention to striving for balance in our relationships. All right. It's also, I want to say, I'm not necessarily going to say that Libra energy is lighthearted, but it's definitely a lot less serious than Virgo. So once we get our homework done and once we start organizing and getting back on track, Libra reminds us to be social, that we can hang out, that we can really relate to other people and have a little bit of fun. All right. And so Libra, the sun will go into Libra on September 22nd. All right. Then on September 22nd, the same day, Venus will enter the sign of Scorpio. And this is always a very interesting transit. I think if there was one word to describe Venus in Scorpio, it would be intensity. Venus in Scorpio is like love on fire. Venus in Scorpio is like, I want your soul. I want to possess you, kind of a thing. Now, Venus is not comfortable in Scorpio. Venus, for all intents and purposes, is a little superficial. She likes things that look good. She likes to relate to people. Excuse me. She likes to relate to people. She likes luxury things. Venus in Scorpio was like intense. It's like, let me show you my ugly side. Let me show you the ugly side of life. Let me show you how money corrupts people. Let me show you how people can be possessive and manipulative. Intense. So wherever Venus, or I should say, wherever Scorpio is in your chart, this is where you're going to experience some of this intensity. And you're going to experience the not so beautiful and luxurious side of Venus. Hold on one second. I need some water. All right. One of the things that a lot of people don't focus on in terms of the mythology of Venus is that, yes, Venus is beautiful. Venus is abundant, right? But Venus is also very manipulative and jealous. If you read the stories of Venus or Aphrodite in Greek and Roman mythology, she was a handful. She was very jealous, manipulative, possessive, kind of a mean girl. You know how those girls in high school are. They're pretty and they're like whatever, so they can be really mean and like jealous and whatever. That's exactly the energy of Venus. And when Venus is in Scorpio, that's exactly what we experience. However, what I do like about Venus in Scorpio is that Scorpio is ruled by both Mars and Pluto. And Scorpio energy is very transformative. And so if you want to transform, depending on where Scorpio is in your chart, Venus in Scorpio gives you the opportunity to transform Venusian type things. So, love, money, relationships, and fairness, among other things. Venus in Scorpio allows you to not just be superficial, but really see things for what they are, ugly side and all, and make changes. For instance, let's say that Scorpio is your second house. So that would make you a Libra rising. Your second house has everything to do with your money. Now, when it comes to money, maybe you're not necessarily seeing how you may be self sabotaging your financial situation. Maybe you haven't admitted to yourself that you overspend. Maybe you haven't admitted to yourself that you don't invest well, right? Venus and Scorpio is like, listen, I'm really going to show you your financial situation, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now that you have this information, what are you going to do about it? You can change this. If it's a situation where you overspend, maybe you need to put a budget together and have someone hold you accountable to that budget. If it's an investment thing, maybe getting more knowledge on how to invest and how to invest better may solve this issue. You get what I mean? So even though in the moment you're going to feel like, "Oh my gosh, this is horrible. Why am I experiencing this? Why is my money not right? Blah 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 blah." It's actually showing you that so that you can actually change it. So intense but transformative. All right. And then finally, we close out the month with Mercury moving into the sign of Libra, which is happening on September 26th. And at this time, Mercury in Libra is really going to highlight our communication skills in relationships, how we relate to other people verbally, right? It's also a great time to collaborate with people. The energy signature of Libra is teamwork makes the dream work. And so, if there's something that you are looking to do, accomplish, achieve, all of that stuff, it may serve you to put a team together, get people to help you, collaborate with people. I believe the saying is you can go faster alone, but farther together. And so Mercury in Libra facilitates teamwork, collaboration, mending relationships, negotiating, settling, like settlements and stuff like that. Um, basically coming together and, having discussions, coming together for shared goals and dreams, coming together for putting plans into place, all of that good stuff. And that's how we end off the month with this energy of Libra, right? Because the sun will have gone into Libra, Mercury will be in Libra. And so it allows us to collaborate and it reminds us that no man is an island. All right. And so, my love, that is September in a nutshell. All right. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going into the month. All right. If you want to know more about the astrology for September based on your sign, then you'll definitely want to join my channel membership where I do dedicated videos for each sign every month on the astrology and I pull some cards over there as well. All right. So, with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. I wish you nothing but the absolute best for September and beyond. And I will see you in my next video. Take care.